I'm gracious, but I'm not content. Because I know y'all got a lot more to give me than some $250,000.
Until you unmarry her, it's best you stay over there, brother. I appreciate you and I love you, but you are no use to me with that white...
What? You can lift all the weights in the world and you'll never be 6'3", nigga. You can talk about my gut all day, but I'm sexy with mine. I'm fine. I'm cool in my skin.
What's good, YouTube? My name is Banji, returning with another video slash rant slash pretty much necessary tirade, because if you watched my previous video on the unnecessary attack on black conservatives, you remember I specifically said that I would eventually start making a video on a gentleman by the name of Umar Johnson. Now, for those who know me personally, it's absolutely no secret that I hate this man with a burning passion. I know, it's not nice to hate people and the Bible tells me not to, but Shannon Sharp once said,
"That's in the Bible. I ain't in there."
I refuse to pull any punches here because we're going to be breaking down everything about this absolute sellout down to the molecular level. So sit back, lock in, and let's get started. So who is Dr. Umar Johnson? Well, just like a lot of black activists who like to change their name into some fancy Islamic originated name, he was born as Jermaine Shoemake, a self-proclaimed biological descendant of Frederick Douglas, a Pan-Africanist, a man known most for his out-of-context memes, which are admittingly hilarious, and his divisive rhetoric on interracial marriage. Most of you know who Frederick Douglass is, but just for the sake of all of us being on the same page, allow me to quickly give you all a rundown on who this man is and why he's such an important name to the American history, let alone the black community. Frederick Douglass was a prominent American abolitionist orator and writer who lived from 1818 to 1895. Born into slavery in Maryland, Douglass escaped to freedom in the North and became a powerful voice against slavery and racial inequality. He wrote several books, including his autobiography, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, which exposed the brutalities of slavery and helped fuel the abolitionist movement. Douglass also served as a consultant to President Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War and later became the first African American to hold a high-ranking government position. Throughout his life, Douglass remained committed to fighting for the rights and dignity of African Americans. So is Dr. Kumar actually related to the famous Mr. Frederick Douglass? As per written statement of the descendants of Douglass, quotes, "We can tell you with 100% certainty that he is not a descendant of Frederick Douglass." So right off the bat, you could see that this man is clearly a liar. Most of the screen time he's gotten in his earlier years was because of him riding off the coattail of Sir Douglas. He even went on Roland Martin's cable network TV show to debate him, and that was a topic of discussion, him being a so-called descendant of Sir Douglas.
I would concur with that. All right. But then too, you also heard that some of the things he says is correct. So the question becomes, he's either related or he's not. Okay.
So are you related?
I'm about to answer your question.
Okay.
If you allow me to do that. I am a blood relative of Frederick Douglass. My name is on the family tree. We have a family reunion every 2 years. What they're talking about, and I want to make sure you're clear. They're talking about whether or not I come through the loin of Frederick Douglass, which I do not, nor have I ever claimed. Own people to marry a woman who looks like you.
Frederick Douglass.
Yes, sir. An ancestor of mine.
Stop the cap.
Did you know that Dr. Kumar also wanted to open a border school for black boys? Well, according to Google.com, he took to his Instagram in March of 2023, claiming that the school's doors will be open between 2024 and 2025. Clearly, we're at the end of 2024, so shall we see if he opens this school next year as promised, though I'm not optimistic given that he outright refuses to give any record showing he was approved for a 501c3 tax exemption, as well as other financial records that at least give an update on the status of the school itself. If you needed any more evidence that this man was a sellout, he claims to have raised between 500 and 700 grand on a GoFundMe just for the construction of the school. If this is true and there's no update, that means he scammed the fuck out of a shit ton of black people into funding this supposed boarding school and only gives us limited updates on his status. Yet another example of how niggas will blindly follow anything that sounds good without properly researching anything surrounding it. I don't feel bad for any of you that invested a penny into this man's vision. Now, the next thing about Dr. Kumar is that he claims to be a Pan-Africanist. Admittedly, I never did the proper research of what this actually is until recently. Prior, I was aware for a while that this was an ideology that Kumar follows extensively, and I assumed that if this was an ideology that he was basing his racism off of, then there was no point in actually doing the research behind the ideology, because Kumar is basically representative of this belief system. Ignorance is indeed very bliss, Bonji. Pan-Africanism is the movement that emerged in the late 19th century aiming to unite and empower people of African descent worldwide. It emphasizes the shared history, culture, and experiences of Africans and people of African ancestry and seeks to promote solidarity, cooperation, and collective progress. Ideally, this isn't a bad ideology to have given the historic injustices African Americans have faced for centuries, so wanting to basically maintain the ancestral culture that African Americans inherited but were obviously stolen from per the transatlantic slave trade, you can't knock someone for having such an ideology if you do your proper research on its background. Understanding the bread and butter of this belief, it's clear that Kumar clearly isn't representative of this perspective, but rather he's a bad faith interpreter of Pan-Africanism holistically. This jackass doesn't simply just look to quote-unquote combat colonialism and imperialism and oppression of blacks. This man has been exclusive of homosexual black men and women, and even more so black men and women who date interracially, which we'll dive further into later. One thing that I'll give Dr. Kumar credit for is his ability to draw in a crowd. He's very good with his rhetoric and speeches, so much so that he literally has a very large chunk of the black community in a chokehold with his ideas. We need to now get into the portion of this video where we actually dissect his beliefs on specifically black people dating interracially. What are Kumar's beliefs on black people dating interracially? Well, let's hear it from the horse's mouth when he did an interview on The Breakfast Club in 2021, shall we?
Let me ask you a question, Dr. Umar. Are you totally against interracial relationships?
I am totally against it, and I want to make sure you understand why. It's not because... Cut it out, Envy. Cut it out, Envy.
Don't do that, Envy. I'm going to be having a serious conversation.
We have a name for it.
We
have a name for it. Okay. The Snow Bunny Crisis.
Okay.
I am against the Snow Bunny Crisis.
Okay, let's pause it right there. A snow bunny is a derogatory term he uses against white women specifically. As you've heard from Umar, he refers to a snow bunny crisis, implying that there is a vast amount of black men that date white women. This is somewhat true according to Pew Research. If we look at the rate of interracial marriages between black men and women, black men are twice as likely to marry outside of their race compared to black women. Why you think that might be the case is up for debate, but to say that this is a crisis is completely asinine. 85% of black men still have a black wife as per 2020 consensus data, which means black men still have an overall dating preference for black women over women of other racial backgrounds.
And I want your white listeners to understand. Because people be trying to say stuff like, he's the black Hitler. I'm not the black Hitler. I am in no way interested in hurting or harming the life of any human. White, Asian, Chinese. I believe in respecting everybody. The reason I'm against interracial marriage, Envy and Charlemagne, is because marriage is an economic contract. It's an economic contract.
His framing of marriage is extremely disingenuous because it completely ignores the origin of marriage. Marriage was never inherently a government contract. It was inherently a religious tradition where a man and a woman became a union. Marriage has never historically had a racial standard, though a lot of cultures outside of Western culture disapprove of interracial marriages. Marriage in the modern sense is simply a union between two consenting parties. These unions are made through love and attraction that both parties have for one another. It doesn't matter if you're a man and a woman, man and man, woman and woman, or have different races, ethnicities, cultures, etc. Sorry, Kumar, Americans aren't obligated to marry within their race anymore. We left that back in 1967 after the Loving v. Virginia case was decided. Get with the program, you regressive buffoon.
DJ Envy, I'll give you one right now. Naomi Osaka. Am I saying her name right? The tennis sister.
Naomi Osaka, yes.
Naomi, I love the sister, right? She knocked off the greatest of all time, the GOAT, in Serena. But guess what? Who is she representing in the upcoming Olympics? Is she representing Haiti? No, she representing Japan. So here you have a half African sister, an African sister with, because there's no such thing as half African, our genes are dominant. So you got an African sister with a Japanese mother, and instead of going back home to your father's blood, Haiti, to represent the Africans in Haiti, you're instead going to represent the Japanese who've never done anything for black folks and are part of the Trilateral Commission with the American white power structure. But who taught her to play tennis? Did her Japanese mother teach her to play tennis, or did her black Haitian father teach her to play tennis? Her black Haitian father taught her to play tennis. It's the African DNA. It's the African ancestors in that girl that's responsible for her tennis success. But instead of representing us, she gonna go represent the Japanese.
Well,
this is what you got to deal with when you make mixed race African children.
Listen, hold on, baby. I think her case is a little different
Why?
though, because she identifies fully as a black woman. She definitely does.
So if you identify fully as a black woman, Charlamagne, why is she not representing Haiti?
I get it, but that's a little asterisk. Because if because she's putting her money in the black causes, she puts her money in the black organizations. She got a black boyfriend. Like she stands up for black causes.
You see what Haiti going through?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So do you know what?
I don't even know if Haiti got a tennis team, so I don't know, to be honest with you.
They don't have to have one. She will win the whole thing. But here's the point. If you look at the political situation that America and France has Haiti in, that they've been in since the Haitian Revolution of 1791, if you look at the fact that the children are being raped, robbed, stolen by whites, if you look at the fact that America and France have sabotaged the Haitian economy and the Haitian society, if Naomi was to represent Haiti one time, she can go back and represent Japan next time. But if she was to represent Haiti just one time, it would shine a light on all the injustices that the U.S. government and the French government are inflicting upon our brothers and sisters in Haiti, and it will demand from the international community some answers and some changes. She has a chance to almost rescue an entire nation of people, and she won't do it because
I'm not gonna say that.
In this clearly unhinged rant Kumar goes on, he mentions a famous athlete, Naomi Osaka, a biracial tennis player mixed with Haitian and Japanese. Kumar is clearly upset that Osaka represented her Japanese side over her Haitian side in the Olympics, completely oblivious to the fact that her mother is quite literally Japanese. He then makes an inherently racist claim that African genes are dominant, so he just outright rejects half of this girl's cultural and ethnic background because of it is in African descent. This is an issue that quite a lot of biracial people deal with in the West, when they are forced to show solidarity with either one side of their culture or the other. Kumar is constricting Osaka to the one-drop rule, an inherently racist idea that if you have any African descent, then you will automatically be considered as African. It's 2024, guys. Can we please ditch the racism? So we're pretty much 4 for 4 here, family. Kumar claims to be a descendant of Frederick Douglas, which has been proven to be false. He scammed black people into investing in a school that he's never likely going to open. He's a self-proclaimed Pan-Africanist, but is clearly a black nationalist and supremacist. And he's a racist as per his beliefs on interracial marriages. So why the fuck are niggas still following this imbecile? The simple answer is status quo. The current state of our country and how divided we are shows that at any given point, black people will take in as much information as possible so long as it quote-unquote uplifts them. It doesn't make a difference if this information is false, misleading, violent, ignorant, etc. As long as it gives the black man a reason to uphold his superiority complex, we'll eat this perspective alive. We're now living in a time where it has become culturally appropriate to argue that your genes are superior over another's depending on who you are. And if this video doesn't prove to you anything, you cannot deny that black people get away with racism far more than anyone else in America, and Dr. Umar Johnson is living undeniable proof of this fact. And if you agree with this man, you're part of the problem. That's all for today's video. Make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe. We're on the road to 1K subscribers, so please let's push this channel to more algorithms and spread the message. Do you agree, disagree? Leave your thoughts below in the comment section and let's civilly discuss. I'm also now taking donations. The link to my Cash App will be in the description below. This has been Bonji ranting about Dr. Kumar Johnson. Until next time, YouTube, Bonji out.